Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Cathay Pacific cancels HK-Tel Aviv flights for rest of 2023. Promising results in Chinese vaccine trial for African swine fever. Israel-Gaza war, Hong Kong faithful shaken to the core by violence. Big bucks, how the Caulfield Cup eclipsed the Everest. Aiding Hong Kong's disadvantaged means more than giving money, Wharf chairman. Cathay Pacific cancels HK-Tel Aviv flights for rest of 2023. Bloomberg. Cathay Pacific Airways has cancelled all flights between Hong Kong and Tel Aviv for the rest of the year due to the ongoing situation in Israel. Customers with tickets through March 31, 2024, can rebook, reroute, or receive a refund without fees. The airline suspended its service to Israel earlier this month following attacks by Hamas. Cathay previously operated 3 flights a week to Israel. Promising results in Chinese vaccine trial for African swine fever. South China Morning Post. Chinese scientists have developed a promising vaccine candidate to combat African swine fever, a highly contagious virus that has devastated the pork industry globally in recent years. The vaccine candidate, which has been shown to be effective in tests on pigs, is a live but weakened version of the virus that triggers a strong immune reaction. Currently, there is no vaccine available for African swine fever, so governments have been culling herds and implementing other measures to control the disease. The Chinese vaccine still faces technical, regulatory, and financial hurdles before it can be made commercially available. Israel-Gaza war, Hong Kong faithful shaken to the core by violence. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong has been following the situation in the Middle East closely due to its extensive links with the region. The city has a small Jewish community that is supportive of Israel, and there is a substantial Israeli Chamber of Commerce. Hong Kong also has a large Muslim community, many of whom are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, and a Christian community that has been involved in supporting charitable works in the Holy Land. The recent conflict has caused great distress among the community in Hong Kong, and there have been calls for a two-state solution to the conflict. Big bucks, how the Caulfield Cup eclipsed the Everest. The Sydney Morning Herald. Hong Kong-based World Pool is set to play a major role in the Cox Plate and Melbourne Cup Carnival in Australia. Saturday's Caulfield Cup eclipsed last week's Everest in Sydney for turnover on the World Pool. The Melbourne Cup is Australia's most popular race for punters domestically. The World Pool stats so far suggest this order remains unchanged, with high expectations beckoning for the Cox Plate. Racing Victoria is able to charge a royalty which is set to generate between 2 to 3 million Australian dollars, $1.4-2.1 m, across this carnival in income for the host metropolitan clubs. Aiding Hong Kong's disadvantaged means more than giving money, Wharf chairman. South China Morning Post. Businesses in Hong Kong can actively support disadvantaged groups and address social needs by engaging directly with the community, according to Stephen Ng Tin Hoi, chairman of Wharf Holdings. Ng believes that establishing a two-way dialogue is crucial for both societal welfare and mitigating talent-related difficulties. Wharf's Project Weekend, which partners with schools and businesses, aims to improve university admission rates and enhance career prospects for underprivileged students. The program also helps address the talent shortages faced by Hong Kong, with nearly 3 in 4 companies struggling with a shortage of labor. 3 trail runners top podium after dramatic end to 50 km Hong Kong race. South China Morning Post. 3 athletes shared the top prize in the men's event of the opening leg of the Hong Kong 50 series after crossing the finish line together. Canadian Jeff Campbell had a 1-minute advantage for most of the 50-kilometer trail running route, but was eventually caught by locals Chan Ka-kung and Wang Weiheng. The 3 agreed to a joint finish and completed the race in 5 hours, 1 minute and 32 seconds. In the women's race, France's Sophie Hedu took first place, finishing 11 minutes and 39 seconds ahead of the runner-up. Chinese beer maker Tsingtao opens probe after worker urination video goes viral. South China Morning Post. Tsingtao Brewery, China's second-largest brewer, has opened an investigation after a video of a factory employee urinating on raw ingredients went viral. The video shows a male worker climbing into a high-walled container and relieving himself onto its contents. Tsingtao said it had contacted the police and the batch of malt in question had been sealed. The company has sought to capitalize on the changing tastes of younger Chinese drinkers by diversifying into craft Alash and other products. Kwaichow Matai's sell-off augurs a rebound for China's stock market, analysts. South China Morning Post. Shares in Chinese alcohol giant Kwaichow Matai posted their biggest decline in nearly a year, leading analysts to predict a market bottom is imminent. Over the past decade, major declines in the stock have been followed by gains in the benchmark, the CSI 300 index. Following a 19% slump in 2013, the index rose 6% over the next year, while a 25% decline in October 2018 preceded a 23% gain in the benchmark. The CSI 300 rallied 15% in the 6 months following a 23% slump in the stock last October. Data center operators say Hong Kong falling short on renewable power, space. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong must improve access to renewable energy and provide government support for the data center industry if it wants to become a hub for the sector in the Asia-Pacific region, according to industry experts. The city's limitations on renewable power are preventing the construction of data centers with a lower carbon footprint, said Zena Cheng, Vice President of Channel and Partnerships at Sinovision Holdings. Data centers globally consumed between 240 and 340 terawatt-hours of electricity in 2022, a 70% increase in power demand since 2015, according to the International Energy Agency. Siobhan Haughey sets up for tilt at 100-meter freestyle world record in Budapest. South China Morning Post. Australian swimmer Kaylee McKeown has broken her own world record in the 100-meter backstroke, clocking a time of 57.33 seconds at the World Cup in Budapest. This comes a day after she set a new world record in the 50-meter backstroke. McKeown now holds the 5 fastest times in history for the event. Hong Kong's Siobhan Haughey also set a new World Cup record in the women's 200-meter freestyle, with a time of 1 minute and 54.08 seconds. Both swimmers are building up to next year's Paris Olympics. Beijing and Hong Kong agree to promote cross-border financing. Nikkei Asia. China's National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC, and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, HKMA, have signed an agreement to support cross-border financing by mainland enterprises and promote the development of the Hong Kong bond market. Under the Memorandum of Understanding, the two authorities will encourage Chinese companies to issue bonds in Hong Kong and jointly support the development of Hong Kong's green and sustainable finance market. Chinese companies' offshore issuance of dollar bonds has contracted significantly this year due to increasing defaults by Chinese real estate developers and a high interest rate environment. Philippine data leaks expose infuriating extent of cybersecurity failures. South China Morning Post. A Filipino hacker known as Diablo X Phantom has broken into at least 5 major government agencies in the Philippines and downloaded gigabytes of data, according to This Week in Asia. The hacker claims he was a 19-year-old who once worked in government as part of a red team who challenged cybersecurity controls. Filipino security specialists verified the hacker's feats and data packages. There has been a slow and disjointed reaction from the government, and experts suggest the nation's poor cybersecurity culture and lack of expertise are to blame for the breaches. Hong Kong events company to invest more in Saudi Arabia, tap growth potential. South China Morning Post. Event marketing company Pico Far East Holdings plans to increase its investments in Saudi Arabia over the next few years, attracted by the country's economic diversification plan, Vision 2030. The company has been expanding its presence in the Middle East for nearly 3 decades and sees significant opportunities in Saudi Arabia, particularly in the tourism sector. Pico has already secured a contract for a light and art festival in 2023 and is pursuing additional contracts stemming from the event. The company's success in the Middle East reflects the growing presence of Chinese investors in the region. Hong Kong must help its youth speak up about their problems. SCMP opinion. There has been a disturbing increase in student deaths across Hong Kong since the start of the school year, affecting young people from primary school through to university. The situation is similar to the suicide cluster of 2016 and highlights the urgent need to address young people's emotional well-being. A recent survey revealed that 19% of respondents were classified as suffering from depression and 18% from anxiety. There has also been an increase in suicidal ideation, self-injury, and suicide attempts among the younger generation. The article emphasizes the need for a change in the school curriculum, as well as the mindset of parents and attitudes towards seeking help. Hong Kong Housing Authority must act now to end its flagrant discrimination. SCMP opinion. The Court of Appeal in Hong Kong has ruled that restrictions preventing same-sex couples married overseas from sharing public housing and jointly occupying subsidized home ownership scheme (HOS) flats are discriminatory and unlawful. Currently, same-sex couples are blocked from applying to live together in public housing and can only apply as individuals. The court ruled that same-sex couples married overseas are entitled to equal treatment when seeking access to housing, and the Housing Authority's argument that equal access would limit the availability of public resources to heterosexual couples was dismissed. Dear viewers, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the sixth dimension, bringing you the latest news from around the world. Let's dive into today's stories. First up, Cathay Pacific Airways has cancelled all flights between Hong Kong and Tel Aviv for the rest of the year due to the ongoing situation in Israel. This decision comes after attacks by Hamas and reflects the airline's commitment to ensuring the safety of its passengers. It's unfortunate news for travelers, but safety should always be the top priority. In other news, Chinese scientists have made progress in developing a vaccine for African swine fever, a virus that has devastated the pork industry globally. This vaccine candidate has shown promising results in tests on pigs, but there are still hurdles to overcome before it can be made commercially available. If successful, this vaccine could be a game-changer for the pork industry and help prevent the spread of the disease. The recent conflict between Israel and Gaza has had a profound impact on the Hong Kong community, which has extensive links with the Middle East. The city is home to a small Jewish community, a substantial Israeli chamber of commerce, and a large Muslim community that sympathizes with the Palestinian cause. The calls for a two-state solution reflect the desire for peace and stability in the region. Moving on to sports, the Caulfield Cup in Australia has surpassed last week's Everest in Sydney in terms of turnover on the World Pool. Hong Kong-based World Pool is set to play a major role in the Cox Plate and Melbourne Cup Carnival. This is good news for racing enthusiasts and shows the global reach of Hong Kong's influence in the industry. Stephen Ng Tin Hoi, chairman of Wharf Holdings, believes that businesses in Hong Kong can support disadvantaged groups by engaging directly with the community. Wharf's Project Weekend is a great example of this, as it aims to improve university admission rates and enhance career prospects for underprivileged students. It's important to address social needs beyond just giving money and establish a two-way dialogue for a more inclusive society. In the world of sports, the opening leg of the Hong Kong 50 Series saw a dramatic finish as three trail runners shared the top prize in the men's event. They crossed the finish line together, showcasing the spirit of sportsmanship and camaraderie. In the women's race, France's Sophie Hedu took first place, demonstrating the diversity and talent in the sport. Now, let's talk about some viral videos that have made headlines. Tsingtao Brewery, China's second-largest brewer, is investigating a video that shows a factory worker urinating on raw ingredients. This is definitely not the kind of craft ale they were hoping for. On a more positive note, Chinese alcohol giant Kwaichow Matai's recent sell-off may actually signal a rebound for China's stock market. So, cheers to that. Hong Kong must improve access to renewable energy and provide government support for the data center industry if it wants to become a hub for the sector in the Asia-Pacific region. Data centers globally have seen a 70% increase in power demand since 2015, so it's crucial to prioritize renewable energy sources. Let's go green and power up our data centers. In swimming news, Australian swimmer Kaylee McEwen has broken her own world record in the 100-meter backstroke, while Hong Kong's Siobhan Haughey set a new World Cup record in the women's 200-meter freestyle. These athletes are making waves and setting their sights on next year's Paris Olympics. We'll be cheering them on. China's National Development and Reform Commission and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority have signed an agreement to promote cross-border financing and support the development of the Hong Kong bond market. This collaboration will encourage Chinese companies to issue bonds in Hong Kong and boost the city's green and sustainable finance market. It's a win-win for both sides. In cybersecurity news, the Philippines has experienced major data leaks, exposing the extent of cybersecurity failures in the country. A Filipino hacker known as Diablo X Phantom has targeted several government agencies, highlighting the need for stronger cybersecurity measures. It's time for the government to take action and prioritize the protection of sensitive data. Event marketing company Pico Far East Holdings is increasing its investments in Saudi Arabia, attracted by the country's economic diversification plan. This reflects the growing presence of Chinese investors in the Middle East, as they see significant opportunities in sectors like tourism. It's a testament to the global reach of Chinese businesses. Lastly, there have been disturbing reports of student deaths in Hong Kong, highlighting the urgent need to address young people's emotional well-being. A change in the school curriculum and a shift in mindset towards seeking help are necessary to support the younger generation. Let's create a safe and supportive environment for our youth. That's all for today's news. Now, it's your turn to join the discussion. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world with me, Dr. Six, your trusted guide from the sixth dimension. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.